Okay, so the tool-assisted Oki calculator is a tool made by the entity known as tool assisted that will that not only has all the frame data for all of the different moves, but more importantly has the knockdown um, frame data that you can then essentially piece together a sequence or moves that would be advantageous for you on their wake up.
Okay.
So, are you familiar with like how to reframe data and everything?
Uh, the very basics of it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah,
So if I lose you at any point, then just stop me and then I'll explain it further.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so one of the things that I noticed in that last round was that I was able to throw you like three. I threw you and then I dashed up and then I threw you again and then I dashed up and I threw you again uh, with Ryu. So like when it comes to dealing with throws, you have to have like a good understanding of what happens before, during, and after. So what we're going to do is click on Ryu and just to give you like a quick overview of how this works. In my opinion, this is the most useful tool that is available, and people who don't use this are at a huge disadvantage because their problem solving is like vastly limited compared to people who are using this.
Is there a mobile version of it, or is it all web based, or you want to do it off a laptop or something like that?
It's all web-based.
Okay.
There's FA Tool, which has a similar calculator, but it'll just kind of like do the math for you. It won't really it won't lay it out for you as well as this does. So it can
Okay.
be hard to read at first, but once you start using it, you get the hang of it.
Mhm.
So basically, the first section is the knockdown section. So this is all of Ryu's moves that cause a knockdown.
Okay.
The second section is the timeline. So if we're going to start with just the forward throw. So when I click on it, or if I click on, let's say like EX Fireball or whatever, then the timeline changes. So when I do, when I click on throw, then it'll show me, when you look in this column right here, KDR is knockdown recovery advantage and KDRB is knockdown back recovery advantage.
Okay.
So as you might know, knockdown recovery and back recovery have the same amount of frames because you can't do back recovery off of a throw. So that loads up, since we have 14 frames of advantage for both, then we look at the timeline and the number on top is just the number of frames. So if you've ever used like a video editor or like Shockwave Flash that would let you like set up a timeline of keyframes and stuff, this is the
Mhm.
exact same thing.
Okay.
So the number on top is just, so this is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 frames, and then these are the actual individual frames.
Okay.
So because we have knockdown recovery of frame advantage of 14, then boom, we look at this. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then boom, on the 15th frame, we are back up again.
Okay.
So what we can do with this information is start to deconstruct whether what we got hit by was, let's say, legit or like just like an information gap. And so when we think about those situations where I throw you, dash up, and throw you again, this is why we would load this up. So in the third section of the Oki calculator is all of the frame data. And so this is all just like standard in
Mhm.
order frame data stuff. So what we can do is scroll down to the bottom where it says dash forward, and then um, the it loads it up into slot number one. So we can have up to 7 slots. So we could say,
So,
okay,
so you selected dash forward, and then that loaded it right there. Just want to make
yeah,
sure. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So see, like right here, I clicked on slot number two. I can click on slot number two and then click on, let's say, standing medium punch, and then that loads that up.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect.
And then to like clear it, you just press delete on the keyboard.
Okay. Cool.
So in slot number one, we have, so the reason why we have so many slots is because it allows you to load up different sequences
Mhm.
or, load up different ideas that you might have had. So what we can do is essentially recreate this situation that you got hit by and then see what it looks like in terms of the frame data.
Very
So
cool.
we can we have our dash and then we have our forward throw. Because remember, I did dash and then forward throw and then dash forward throw again.
Got it.
So these numbers are important, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, because these are like the first 10 frames of your wake up.
Okay.
So when you're looking at this, if something, generally, if something doesn't hit on frame 3, then that would mean that somebody who had a 3 frame jab like Ryu or Nakali or whatever would be able to hit the 3 frame button and hit us out of our move. Because you'll see right here it says we wanna basically line up our A frames, which are the active frames, with
Mhm.
the earliest frame possible, like basically frames 3 or 4.
Okay.
So the S stands for startup, the A is active, and the R's are recovery. So when you look at this, you can see that because the forward dash is 16 frames, as we can see
Mhm.
right here, dash forward 16 frames, but we only had 14 frames to work with. That means that if Ryu dashes after the forward throw, then he's -2.
Because I'll be up on frame 14 of the 16 of the dash.
Technically you're up on frame 15
Okay. Okay. Got it.
because it was like 14 frames on the ground and then boom, now you're standing up.
Okay. Yeah. And then 15. Okay. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that means that after that I'm -2, which means that if I were to throw again, the throw would then be active on the 7th frame of your recovery.
Okay.
So that means that if you hit basically any button that had a 7 frame startup or less, then I would get hit. And not only would I get hit, you would also score a counter hit.
And that's because you still had the 2 frames left. The -2. I just want to make sure I had that right. The -2 is coming from the fact that Ryu still had the 2 frames left on his dash.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So when we look at if we look at Rashid's frame data, then we can
You
look
could,
and see.
almost hit anything on that dash up.
Yeah, because like we just need something that starts up in 7 frames or less.
Okay.
So let's see.
I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So either sweep or crouching medium kick would work apparently.
Okay.
So what we could do is then switch back to the game, and what I should have done was had you pick. I'm just gonna demonstrate this with picking Ryu and then having Rashid as the dummy.
Oh, because we want Rashid to do we want to record the move for him on Wake Up, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like the reason why it's important know um, to know these things is so that you don't get hit by so that you know that Ryu can't just like throw you and then dash up and throw you again, because it's it's one thing. I mean, and we can talk about like teching throws next, but like before even worrying about teching a throw, if somebody's hitting you with something that's technically like not a legit setup, then you shouldn't even have to deal with that. Okay, so what we're gonna do is set the dummies wake up action to crouching medium kick. And if it doesn't say reversal, then you need to re-record it.
Okay. Cool.
And
All right.
then we set wake up action slot, we turn it to on, and
Okay.
then set recovery to normal and set stun to no stun. Okay, so now when we sweep him, he's gonna wake up crouching medium kick. So if we throw him, boom, crouching medium kick. So now what we can do is basically recreate the situation that you got hit by, and then verify our findings in the Oki calculator. So I'm gonna dash, or I'm gonna throw him, then I'm gonna dash, and then he should hit me. I'm gonna throw him, dash, and then try to throw
Cool.
him again.
Okay. Hmm.
And you see, not only did I get hit, Rashid scores a counter hit because I'm in the startup frames of the throw. So we can, because remember we had the throw would connect on frame 7. So what we can do is maybe even try sweep, and what should happen if I did this right
Should be the
is
give the crush count on the sweep, right?
yes, exactly. Oh, okay. So that means that this was like one frame too slow because
Okay.
the
Oh yeah,
throw.
I think his sweep might be 8 frames on.
Yeah, well, I think it's because the throw and the sweep collide on the same frame, but throws
Uh,
have priorities over normals,
Gotcha.
so it doesn't work.
Okay.
But as you can see, if I do medium, okay, so reuse medium punch. Okay, all throws start up in 5 frames. Regular throws start up in 5 frames, and reuse medium punch starts up in 5 frames.
Okay.
So this is a good demonstration of the priority system because if I dash up and hit medium punch, boom, the medium punch and the sweep collide on the same frame,
Hmm.
and the sweep wins because of the priority system and thus scores the crush counter.
Interesting.
So our findings are correct. It's just that I'd forgotten that the throw would beat the throw
Sweep.
has priority over the sweep.
Okay.
So anytime you see a Ryu player throw you and dash up, the only thing that they can do is um, is uh, um, is essentially block.
Yeah.
Because we could test something else, right? We could say, okay, well, what about if we use Rashid's 3 frame normal standing light kick, right? So we could say, all right, well, if we throw and then boom, if I'm trying to hit medium punch, then I get hit. Or even if I try to do light punch, which is reuse only 3 frame normal, I still get hit.
Hmm.
So like understanding when you get thrown like kind of what each character's advantage is or lack of advantage is like important so that you don't get put into like these types of situations that essentially aren't legit.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, if I was in, if I was in the corner, then yeah, like it's true. I can just throw you over and over and over. But that's because you're already in the corner and I don't have to dash forward.
Yeah.
So like it also kind of depends on the screen position.
Gotcha.
Okay.
That's really cool. No, I didn't. I never thought of it or seen it broken down like that. That's really really neat.
Awesome. Yeah. So like the more that you can get into the habit of using of first like identifying by watching your replays what you're losing to and then being able to use the tools like the tool assisted Oki calculator to um, to learn more about what's going on in that situation and then being able to recreate it in training mode, then the easier it'll be to basically patch the holes in your game. Because, um, you know, the more matches that you play, um, the more information that you have for like how to spend your time with the game. Because unfortunately, due to how long it takes to load and find matches, um, it like playing the game, especially online, is actually like the least effective way of getting better.
Yeah.
And it's only through watching our replays and going through systematically to problem solve do we actually start to see like big improvements in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense for me. It just sounds so much like the coaches I had was like, yeah, you can we can just scrimmage and play 5-on-5 but that's not going to get us anywhere, kind of thing. It's
Yes.
similar. It's like it's been crazy just a little bit of learning I've done how much this can be broken down just like playing any sport in
Oh,
terms of how,
absolutely.
it blew my mind. It was so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, like there's so much of the same elements, like building the muscle memory,
Yeah.
having like a training regimen, and essentially like the game element of it is like last,
Hmm.
only after you've done all
Yep.
the other stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so let's so that's a little bit of use how to use the Oki calculator to problem solve. Let's go into actually kind of dealing with throws themselves.
Okay.
So part of the reason why I think that players get thrown or have trouble with throws is because they don't use throws themselves.
Okay. Yeah. No, I can see. Yeah, I've had people tell me that I could throw more. I definitely have heard that before. So.
Right.
Okay.
So, like, there is actually this. Um, we can try it a little bit later, but basically, in the you didn't play Street Fighter 4, but in Street Fighter 4, I would play. There was this. I had come up with this method of training where we would basically just use sweeps and then just try to walk the other guy to the corner and only sweeps. And then the third layer was throws because the second one was like crouching medium kick. But basically, like if you got the sweep, then you could dash up and throw.
Hmm.
And then I saw, are you familiar with Core A Gaming, the YouTube channel?
No.
Okay, well, anyways, I'll send you the video later. But basically, this dude Gerald in Korea had come up with basically this game called Sweeps and Throws, which is essentially the same thing. And like this is how you start to learn, like that throw. Okay, so that in Street Fighter, throws are basically like the scissors in rock paper scissors. So you can play. So rock is like attacking, paper is blocking, and scissors is throwing. So if you're not looking for, if you don't always consider that scissors is a possibility when you're playing rock paper scissors, like boom, you're just getting hit by rock all day.
Yep.
So um, this is also kind of like a good. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is basically work on one exercise with throws and then one exercise against throws. So let's start with against throws because that's gonna be like a actually no, let's start with throws because I want to make sure because I feel like part of the reason why you're not thinking about it is because you haven't really like developed a strategy for how and when to land throws aside from like, oh, I'm next to the guy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely true.
Okay, so again, we're going to refer to the tool-assisted Oki calculator. And this time, instead of starting with the knockdown, we're just going to go to the frame data and then look at first the throw, which is oh, here it is. So um, so his throw, as I mentioned, like all normal throws, starts up in 5 frames as expected,
Hmm.
and it has 16 knockdown. It's plus 16 after knockdown. So that
Okay.
means that it's 2 frames. He gets two. Yeah, he gets 2 more frames than Ryu does. Because remember, Ryu was plus 14 on after the throw, but Rashid is plus 16. So um, as you go through these things, you start to you don't have to like memorize all the frame data,
Hmm.
but through going through it, you just kind of like learn it like through doing it.
Yeah. I mean, the first thing I looked at because comparing it to Ryu's, because Ryu's dash was 16 frames, right?
Yeah.
So his is 15.
hmm
So is he then plus after his throws plus one?
Yes, he's plus one.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this is why we use Ryu as like
The
our
baseline.
baseline for comparison.
Hmm.
Um, So already, just from, and I mean, I'm learning this too because I'm not like a Rashid specialist, right? So I don't know, but I'm just trying to show you how my process, so that you can apply it the same way. Okay, so he's plus one after the throw. Okay, so now generally what we want to do when we're trying to land a throw is we want to look for moves that will leave us at plus two, generally that leave us at plus two.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because there are no normals that start up in faster than 3 frames.
Mm.
So the fastest normals, Ryu standing light punch, Nikali's light punch, all they're 3 frames.
Yeah.
The reason why um, plus two is important, or sorry, the reason why plus two is important is because if we have a move that's plus two, there's only a 3 frame gap, and so if we between the move that's plus two and the throw, I think that's a terrible. I think let me try to explain that again. Um, actually, here, let me. Okay, if there's a 3 frame, uh, remember how Ryu was able to throw Rashid out of the sweep
Yes.
because they collide at the same time.
Yeah.
So the same thing happens with any normal. So if the throw and a normal connect at the same time, the throw is going to win.
Well, the throw, right? The throw one. Right. Okay.
So
Throw.
essentially, if if I do a move that's plus two, then I have a 2 frame head start. So you can hit your 3 frame move, but because I had a 2 frame head start, then my throw and your normal collide at the same time, thus the throw wins.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's see if Rashid has any moves that are plus two.
Is light kick, standing light kick, I believe, is plus two.
Yeah, so standing light kick is plus two, and his low jab, crouching light punch, his low jab is plus two as well.
That was plus one. I guess I'm wrong.
Okay, so so what we can do is then load it up in training mode and then see exactly how either of these moves will work or not work. So we're gonna set the dummy uh, to guard the first. Actually, we'll just set him to all guard. So um, okay, so what we can do is see if any of if the moves that we had listed uh, can go into throw right away, because some moves will have too much pushback and they'll leave us too far away to throw the opponent. But it looks like standing light kick goes into throw um,
Yeah.
pretty pretty easily, and then it looks like the if we do if we do low jab and then go into throw, if we do it too fast, then because the jabs are chainable, then he gets standing jab. So we actually have to wait a moment. Um, we actually have to wait a moment before hitting uh, the throw. So uh, now what we can do is essentially recreate the situation and then figure out if this is a legit setup.
Okay.
So we pause, go into dummy settings, and then set record. We're gonna record a guard recovery action. Set interval to 1, set guard slowdown to on, and then it's gonna count down. Now we hit standing jab, or we just have to mash it and make sure that he gets reversal.
Okay.
Because if you don't have reversal timing, that means that you need to re-record because you didn't hit or the dummy didn't hit the button soon enough. So then we set guard recovery action to on, and now every time he blocks, because he's going to block everything, remember, he's going to hit stand jab. With me so far?
Yep.
Okay, so now we can just test. We just start with light kick. And so you can verify that he's actually hitting the jab afterwards, because if you just stand next to him and do it, you'll see the input come on the right hand side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can see that if you do it just right, then the throw will beat the jab every time. If you wait too long, then uh, then Ryu will score a counter hit.
And the reason again in terms of the numbers why that works, because that's the biggest part is just trying to understand the numbers. Like, because I can see that it works,
Mm-hmm.
but the numbers wise is because it's +2, the throw and I have the 2 frames of advantage. The throw becomes the same startup as his jab, and then the throw beats the normal.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Got
Yeah, like you can think of frame advantage as um, you can either think of it as like your move is 2 frames faster, or their move is 2 frames slower.
the
Either,
startup
however,
of the startup of either move is either however many frames on block slower or faster. The startup of the move.
yeah. So you could say, okay, well, because I'm +2, my throw becomes 3 frames, and since his jab is 3 frames, they collide at the same time. Or you could think of it like, oh, because I'm +2, his jab is now 5 frames.
Gotcha.
So because his jab is now 5 frames and my throw is 5 frames, it collides at the same time. Thus, the throw wins. And the
Gotcha.
throw wins because the throws always beat normals because of the priority system.
Cool. Okay. Beautiful.
Okay, so now we know light kick into throw works. So now let's try the other one, which was low jab into throw. So remember that um, the jabs are chainable, or like Rashid's jabs are chainable. So when the difference between chains and links is that chained normals are cancelable, like special move is cancelable. But a link is where a move will combo because the animation finishes. So So try it, and you're like, okay, but wait a minute, like, why doesn't this work? Like, I'm +2. Why can't? Oh, there we go. I finally got one. Um,
But it's not nearly as consistent as the light kick.
right. And the reason for that is because we're kind of getting into the habit of trying to throw like as soon as possible after the light kick. But the problem is that if we do it too fast, then it'll chain because the game will basically prioritize the inputs, and it'll say, oh, well, like because the window for chaining is still there, he's trying to throw another jab. He's not trying to throw. Like the game just, that's just the way the game reads the inputs. But so if we wait a moment, then it works. But the problem is that if we wait too long, then we get hit.
Yeah.
So essentially, this works, but is it as practical as light kick into throw? I would argue that no, it's not,
Yeah. Yeah.
because because the margin for error is too great, and like essentially we want to like reduce the amount of things that can go wrong.
Yeah. For sure. No, that absolutely makes sense.
Okay, so um, okay, so those were the only moves that were +2. Okay, so um, yeah. And the other thing is that the light punch starts up in 4 frames, so that's why it's gonna get a guaranteed counter hit anyways because it's so fast.
And
Um,
so it becomes mathematically it becomes a 2 frame move with in terms of the if one's +2 and then you go into it afterwards, even though it's a
yes,
it can't
essentially now like our stand jab, if you follow low jab with stand jab, then it turns his 4 frame stand jab into a 2 frame stand jab.
interesting.
So Um, so now you're like, okay, well, we know we have a consistent, reliable way to land throws, but like we can't just do this over and over because what if he just techs? So what we can do is then, um, like this is the mix-up, right? Because he, if we start by going for the throw first, then it's only going to take him a few tries. He's only going to need to get thrown a couple of times for him to be like, oh, I should start teching this.
Mhm.
So so then we can switch up our throw or swap in our throw with another 5 frame move. Because remember, uh, the I mean the game doesn't really care like which 5 frame move you do, um, because it'll it'll work the same way.
Mhm.
Like if they hit a button and the 5 frame move is like, let's say, a medium attack, then the medium attack will win because if the light attack and the medium attack collide at the same frame, the medium attack has priority due to the priority system. So we can look at Rashid's other normals and see what he has that starts up in 5 frames. And then we can basically start to try to to condition the opponent to expect a throw and then instead go for the 5 frame attack instead.
In terms of which order you would you is there one order better you think it's worth trying to condition someone in or kind of feel it out in terms of you want to condition throw first or condition block first?
That's a great question. So I would say that there's no there's no real like hard fast rule because it depends on the level of the player that you're fighting against.
Mhm.
Because, for example, if you're fighting like Justin Wong, who's known for having great defense, you're not like if he, let's say that he has a life lead, right? Let's say he's got like 30% life lead first round. You can walk up and do stand light kick and then go for the throw all you want, but like he's not going to hit a button. He's going
Mhm.
to know that you're going for the throw and then tech on reaction.
Okay.
So, but like when you're fighting players that aren't as strong, maybe they're not able to tech throws. So I would say kind of like on the lower level, it's good to go for the throw early so that you can even see, oh, is this person even capable of teching throws? And on a higher level, you basically have to assume that they are.
Mhm.
And that would be a situation where it's generally better to go for like a safe block string instead because you can get gray life, chip damage. You can get gray life and chip damage and still keep the pressure on.
Mhm.
Because the problem with going for the throw too early against a really strong player is that if they tech it, which they are likely to do because they have strong defense, then the situation is reset and you're back to neutral.
Mhm.
So, um, and the other thing to consider is that throws on paper against a strong opponent aren't really scary in the early game or maybe even the mid game. They're scariest when one throw will end the round or one throw and then like an overhead in the corner will end the round. That's when throws are at their most dangerous. So and the other thing to consider is that when you go for a block string and instead of the throw, not only are you building not only are they building gray life and incurring chip damage potentially, but you're also building meter.
Mhm.
So even though they build a little bit of meter for blocking, you build way more for attacking. So there's way more reason to attack, but at the same time, you also against a competent player, the throw should always be a threat in their mind.
Okay.
And it could be argued that the less you go for it, the more they have to like worry about it. But for this example, like I wanted to start with the throw, just so that uh, you know you have a good understanding of why that works and how you can use it yourself.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, so we went for throw because it's or our throw is 5 frames. So let's say that we wanted to mix that up because either we didn't want to start with a throw or they started to tech our throw. So now what we want to do is go to Rashid's frame data and then look for a 5 frame move and then see if there was something that we can substitute it for.
I believe with the one that's going to have the most versatility is the is standing medium punch because you can get
Yes,
a lot off of that. Yeah.
exactly. And what you'll find is as you go through the frame data for different characters is that lots of characters have really important moves that start in 5 frames or 6 frames or whatever because some characters it's 5 frames, some characters it's 6 frames, but usually those buttons are like really crucial to the overall game plan. And as you go through more characters' frame data, you start to like recognize it when you see it.
Yeah.
So, uh, so we can basically just continue on with medium punch. So now, remember, the dummy is set to just do stand jab, but after it blocks the light kick, and all we have to do is is then think about, okay, well, you know, what what does our medium punch get us,
Mhm.
especially on counter hit, because generally moves lights and mediums that hit on counter hit get an extra 2 frames of frame advantage on counter hit. So what we can do is then look at the frame data for medium punch and look in the counter hit advantage column, and you can see that it's +8. So if you go to the hit advantage column, it's +6. So that means that if I hit you with medium punch and it doesn't score counter hit, then I'm +6. But if I hit you with a medium punch that scores a counter hit, I'm +8. So +6 gets us crouching medium kick,
Yep.
and so you can let me set guard to no guard. So this combos. Uh, oops, sorry. This combos on non-counter hit, but Uh, if we look at a move that's +8, now we have standing heavy punch, that's +8, and oh, and also the forward medium punch is +8 as well. Oh, that's
Oh,
interesting. I didn't know that.
yeah.
So standing fierce, standing medium kick, and forward medium punch are all moves that are +8 on counter hit. So, or sorry, not +8 on counter hit, but are +8 um, so that we can connect with our counter hit afterwards. Okay, so let's just start at the top. So what do we have? Oh, standing heavy punch. So essentially, this combo will never work, right? If we go medium
Yeah.
punch, medium punch, heavy punch, never, ever, ever combos under any situations because it just doesn't. Or sorry, it doesn't work like in this standing neutral situation.
Yeah.
But if we set guard to all, then okay. Oops, sorry. I did the look
Yeah.
at there we go. Yeah. So if you start with light kick, right? Because we're it leaves us at +2. Boom, we hit with our move that has a 5 frame startup that gives us 8 frames of uh, of counter hit advantage. Then we can connect into heavy punch. Now Oh, okay. Oh, cool. All right, it
Yeah.
worked.
Yep.
So this is what's known as a counter hit specific combo. because this combo would never work otherwise.
Yeah.
Okay, so so this is where like it becomes useful to like write this shit down in the notes, right? Like, so
Yeah.
I use the note-taking app called Evernote, and it's cross-platform, iOS, Android, desktop, laptop, every platform.
Does it
So
have more? Because normally when I'm jotting notes down, it's all just in my notes stuff on my phone. Is it more sortable kind of thing? Like, does it give you more kind of like ability to put stuff in better places, or?
yeah, essentially I have here, let me show you.
Oh wow. Okay, that's much better.
Yeah, so I have like one notebook for students, and then, or sorry, I used to do it so every student had like a notebook, but I also have like a Street Fighter 5 notebook, and then I have like a notebook for different characters, and then like notes within it.
Gotcha.
Okay, so essentially we can just start like this: standing light kick and crouching light punch are +2. But standing light kick is more practical because crouch and light punch will chain into standing light punch, which fucks up the tick throw. Okay, so so then you could say, okay, so how would I put this? Standing light kick, and then you can follow with standing medium punch, which counter hits, and then you could do standing heavy punch, or you could do throw, 5 frames. So you could say like, okay, so 5 frame, uh, and I'll send this to you afterwards. You don't need to worry about any of that. Counter hit is +8. So then standing heavy punch, and then you could go into medium kick, eagle spike, or we can look at our other moves that are +8, such as where was it? Oh yeah, medium kick. So we can just kind of go through and just make sure. Ah, look at. So that works.
Oh wow! I didn't know you get the medium kick off of that. Nice.
Yeah. So uh, standing medium kick, which has an 8 frame startup into V trigger.
Yeah, that's a button I rarely use. That's a nice use for it. The standing medium kick. That's good to know.
Yeah, so uh, sorry, my phone is blowing up. People fucking hitting me. I'm getting rid of some shit on Craigslist, and people are
Oh
just
jeez, I can only imagine.
going nuts.
Classic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so standing medium kick. Um,
Okay.
okay, so standing heavy punch 8 frames, standing medium kick 8 frames, and then the kicker was forward medium punch 8 frames. So, oh, look at that! Ah,
And the first hit of that's cancelable. So.
wait. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I feel like there would be something else though. Oh, you can't cancel that into V trigger. Oh, but there must be something. Oh, but maybe we can do.
I think you can get any of them off of that. You can do light or heavy, or light, medium, or heavy.
Ah, yes. Okay, so this is where it becomes important to write down the damage, our damage findings. So we could
Uh,
do standing medium punch, forward medium punch into heavy eagle spike. Um, and that does 220 and 325 stun. Or we can do, and then we forgot to write down the damage on this, which was, okay, so that was, so we could do heavy eagle spike on that one. So that does 256 and 415 stun. So, uh, yeah, I'm not quite sure what the advantage. I don't know Rashid well enough to know exactly like what you could do after this, but I guess we could just investigate that move further and then see. Okay, so it's special cancelable. Oh, V trigger cancelable. But then, oh, I guess maybe it's only the first hit. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, but that still doesn't seem like it does as much as yeah, that does way more. So that does what is that, 210, 210 and 315 stun. So basically, like this gives us. Uh, I'm not really sure what that really does. Like, why is? Oh, well, okay. So this move leaves you at +2, but I think that still puts you too far. Oh, no, it doesn't.
Hmm.
Ah, okay. So, haha. All right. So then this leaves you the advantage of. Okay. So this is. So then what I would do is kind of make a note for like what each one is good for. So this is good for damage and possibly positioning. This one is good for V-trigger combo potential, and this one is uh, or just forward medium punch. It's +2. Yeah, so forward medium punch is useful because it's +2 and you're still in range for a throw. So basically, this because this move is +2, it essentially puts you in the same situation
Okay.
again,
Yep.
I guess.
Yep.
Actually, so here we can actually set him to crouch because when he's crouching, um, generally with the exception of maybe like Chun-Li, when characters are crouching, their hitbox is wider. So that means that uh, oops. So that means that we could go for the throw if they were crouching and it might hit. So this might also like still put us in range where we could where the throw mix-up continues, right? Because after this, they're like, oh shit, and then we throw them, and then the next time maybe then we go for standing medium punch, which would then counter hit, and then it's the same thing.
Same loop again.
Yeah. So essentially, these are from one button, standing light kick. We have uh, medium punch, which then puts us into like this, three, um, which essentially gives us like three different options.
Mhm.
Option number one is to get the damage. Option number two is cancel into V trigger, and option number three is being at +2 and still in range for a throw or another standing medium punch.
Got it.
So, um, this is basically like the framework that I use for like going through the framework that I use for learning more about each character, just by using the frame data.
Mhm. Yeah, no, this is really really cool. It's really neat to see all this broken down in this way,
Yeah,
as opposed to just looking at a list of frame data. And there's a big difference between those two, between this and just looking at a list.
right.
It's really neat. Yeah.
Exactly, because otherwise it's just a bunch of numbers. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll just so now we're gonna do the opposite, which is learning how to deal with throws.